detective, thrill me.
Thanks for joining us again. Another episode after we did our commentary. We've lost a couple of the crew. It's just Jared and I for this particular episode. And today we're going to do our 5 most anticipated movies of 2019. I think I'll kick it off. I'll kick it off with one of mine. First one for me is It, Chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was fantastic. It ticked all the boxes about the book. It covered a heap of ground. It was really, really well made. Really, really well acted. The sequel, or the second part, seems to have put together a pretty good cast.
Mm-hmm.
The only concern, obviously, it's a minor concern, it's the less enjoyable part, as shown by the TV movie.
Yeah.
But I believe they're going to have flashbacks and stuff like that, so the young kids are still going to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
Look, mate, I reckon it's going to be one of the best, hopefully one of the best movies this year. That's my opinion.
Big call.
Big call, but I mean the same crew's involved.
Yeah.
Same writer, director, it's all in place. So I'm pretty keen on that one.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I'll shuffle my list a little bit because it was on there too. So
was it?
I'll put that as my first one as well. Same concern as what you were saying. The only real concern I have is whether the adult stuff will hold up. And, we spoke about before, there's a couple of things that have come out that I'm not so sure about, like about Mike Hanlon and how they seem to switch him and Ben. I had a concern that they seem to switch his and Ben's roles in the original, and then apparently he's going to be a drug addict and things like that. I'm not sure how all that'll play.
Yeah.
You're sort of mixing the source material a little bit there. But, as you said, excellent cast. The same people back involved. So it'll be interesting to see if they can sort of improve on the 1990 version. Because the second part for me was where that all came unstuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely stuff to work with there, and I'm pretty excited after seeing what they did with the first one as well. So
yeah. And look, my concern with regards to what you just brought up is, if that is the case, if they have changed it, why? Because it doesn't seem a necessity to make a change like that.
Yeah, well, I couldn't see why they changed that in the other one.
Unless there's some kind of, it all plays out and it all links up at the end, and it's not like the book, which is possible. I guess you're taking the source material and you're twisting it a little bit.
It worked with things like The Mist, changing the ending.
But to me, there seems to be no point in taking that approach. But obviously they have, because the first movie changed kind of the roles a little bit. So that's a minor, but to me that's minor.
Yeah.
At this stage, the first movie was such a success and such a great movie. I've got nothing but an upside based on what we know. I mean, the cast is excellent.
Yeah.
They've really done a great job. I mean, they started talking about Jessica Chastain like 5 minutes after the first movie was released.
Yeah.
Like, I was sort of saying that she would be perfect.
I'm sure they started talking about the Old Spice guy at the same time.
I reckon he was right in the crosshairs. he was immediately being spoken to. But she was already in the mix, and partially because I think she'd done a film with the director previously, so it all made sense. But thankfully they did get her, and James McAvoy.
Yep. Later.
Yeah, it's a really good cast. And the hope is that it continues on and they make all the right moves.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really keen on that. What's next on your list, mate?
Well, I'll keep up the Stephen King theme.
Oh.
Pet Sematary.
Yes.
Just saw the TV spot that showed a bit of Zelda and... it's looking pretty good.
Still grabs you by the balls, that sort of shit.
Because the original one holds a bit of a place. Like, it's bonkers and but there's definitely a lot that could be improved.
Yeah.
So I think, again, John Lithgow, excellent casting choice. It looks a lot creepier. Like, the first one was a little bit... it had some creepy moments, but it was a little bit sort of twisted and bonkers. Like, some of the stuff was as funny as it was scary, looking back on it.
The first trailer had all those people dressed in, like, pig masks and all sorts of weird kind of... I think they might be digging more into the Pet Sematary and the burial ground side of things. Now, I don't remember the book that well, and whether or not some of that stuff might have been in there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I shuffled my list as well because it was on my list.
Yeah. The TV spot just the bit where you see Zelda crawling down the fucking. You only see it from the back, but I'm thinking, yeah, this could be a little unsettling again. Yeah, that's definitely a big up for me. I'm really keen to see that.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a couple of King's got a couple on the horizon, I think. And you know, he's already got. I mean, the man's had a renaissance, and he's all over the fucking joint now. He doesn't seem to want to go away again. But
Well, do you want him to go
Castle
away?
Rock? No, because Castle Rock I hear is good.
Yeah, I just started watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very excited for those two.
Right, I'm going to throw one in the mix that I had actually never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
And partially the reason why I'm interested is because of the talent.
Yep.
It's called Gemini Man,
Mm-hmm.
and it stars Will Smith.
Yeah, I'm out.
It's directed by Ang Lee, and it's produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. So my thinking is it's got plenty going for it that I'd be interested in. And I think it's all about he's an assassin that's being hunted by his younger self.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of got maybe a time travel vibe.
High concept?
High concept, mate. Someone wrote it down. It's a one-line pitch. But I just like the sound of it.
Yeah.
To me, as much as Will Smith's kind of gone off, and, you know, let's not talk about Aladdin. He's gone off a little bit. He's still capable as an actor.
Is it coming out before Aladdin? Because I have a feeling if it comes out after,
He's in
it
trouble.
might go straight to streaming.
I don't know if it's coming out before or after. Look, there are concerns. I'm not going to lie.
Quite big ones.
There are concerns. But I think there's plenty of talent there.
Yeah.
And I think that if they can get it right, and the idea seems like it could be cool, because, you know, now we've got the de-aging, the ability to de-age actors much easier than we used to.
Yep.
It can work.
Well, I laugh at you know, saying it's high concept and stuff, but the funny thing is that one line pitch will get me through the door. What's this?
Yeah, you've heard nothing.
Yeah, I'm there.
Hunting by cloning himself, holy shit. Oh, no, I'm going the first night. Yeah, so that one was just a bit out of the box because I was kind of looking through the lists and that, and it just sort of popped up. So I thought, yeah, I reckon that might be a goer. What else you got?
Okay, so a couple of trailers that dropped on my next ones. So I'll start with John Wick 3.
John Wick 3.
Now, our fellow co-hosts were a little bit down on John Wick 2. I was completely the opposite. I fucking loved it. And I loved the expansion of the world,
Yep.
the assassins and the hotel and everything. And this is going to take it a step further. There's some stuff in the trailer that I'm a little bit suspect about. Once I saw him climbing the fucking, what looks to be like the bloody Sahara Desert or something.
Yeah, that was a
Climbing
bit
that hill
bold.
there. That was a bit silly.
But you also had ninjas on fucking motorbikes, mate.
The motorbike stuff looks awesome. The part where he's running with the bloke in front of him, he's charging at the guy while he's using someone as a human shield.
Yeah, love it.
Big Boban Marjanovic
He pops
throwing
up.
kicks at him and then seemingly getting a book jammed in his gob or something. The trailer just had me. I was just like, yeah.
To me, it's just more of the same.
Yeah.
And the others were
They
so
were
cool.
such fucking crowd pleasers.
Yeah,
Like,
so to me, I mean, I haven't put a foot wrong yet.
No.
And I don't
No.
see anything in the trailer that has me going, oh, shit.
And it's all the reason that I think they're so good is that obviously, I mean, the plot of the first one is not anything out of the ordinary, anything that we haven't seen before, but the fight scenes are just back to, or they're more sort of influenced by like kung fu movies and stuff,
Yeah.
where you can see what's happening. They're just highly choreographed, but they look bloody cool, and you can see what's going on.
Yeah.
They're not these, you know, these.
And I think 2 just took it up a notch.
Mm.
It just took it up a level. And this one just looks like it's going to do it again.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've added more people to the cast. You know,
Mark
it's just-
Dacascos
Mark
getting some
Dacascos.
shine.
The Cascos gets a run.
Yeah.
See,
So-
why couldn't we have brought in a Seagal, Van Damme, maybe?
Well, I think Van Damme, okay, but Dacascos, I'll have Dacascos over Seagal.
Over Seagal?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, they're adding people like Halle Berry and
Look,
stuff like that.
Dacascos he has gone through some trials in the
industry. No, but
he's
Dacascos-
more open to suggestions. Seagal would be turning up and telling you, John Wick's not going to land a punch on me, right? But Stephen, you've got to die somewhere. No. John Wick will not
This
touch
movie's
me.
about John Wick. It's not about you.
Yeah.
Last time I checked.
Yeah.
No.
What if John Wick meets his match and he's a fucking spiritual?
He doesn't. He doesn't do that. But Dacascos has actually had a reasonably... Like, he's a better actor than some of these other guys.
Well, I'd suggest if you look at someone like him as opposed to a Seagal, Dacascos is probably the more impressive bloody martial artist on camera.
Well, now.
Well, even back then.
I mean, Jesus. Seagal's not moving well now. I mean, he's hardly getting...
Well, he's not... As I said, I saw that one with bloody Rob Van Dam or whatever, and it was clear he wasn't on set with other people. They had over-the-shoulder shots where it wasn't Seagal. They had a bloke walking up and down stairs. It wasn't Seagal. It was clear it wasn't Seagal. So the bloke, from what I can tell...
So what you're telling me is
the
Dacascos doesn't require a stunt...
No, Dacascos can do his own thing.
A double.
If you... you need to watch that movie and tell me if I'm wrong, but he seems to have only shot the things where the character's sitting on a chair.
Look, I can't. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, you better take it.
What was it on? It was on Stan.
It's on Netflix now, I think.
What?
It went back and forth, so maybe it might be back on Stan. I'm sure it was a real tug of war to get the rights back to that one.
Look,
Netflix
if it's on
said, we'll give you $100.
If it's on Netflix, I'll watch it. I'll let you know.
Sniper, special ops, get on it.
Yeah, I think that John Wick, it'll just be another crowd pleaser. It's Keanu Reeves. He was never my favourite actor, but the bloke just fucking continues to turn up.
Yeah.
He has stretches in between, but he turns up in these movies that everyone just goes, fuck.
And
This guy's awesome.
points for being a decent bloke. He seems to actually be a really good guy, which in Hollywood gets you extra points. And I'll go and see your movies if you're half decent. If you're Bruce Willis, I might see a couple of your movies.
You'll be there, you'll just grumble about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You fucking bastard.
If you're Tommy Lee Jones, I've just stopped watching you altogether.
I'm watching his older films. Okay, I'm coming right in. I kicked the living daylights out of this movie when it was first brought up. And most people would probably have expected this to be in my least anticipated movies. But I couldn't go past it. Rambo, Last Blood.
I knew you couldn't.
It's like a 10-car pileup. Some fucking bozos put the anchors on. Everyone's gone fair up his ass. There are multiple injuries. And guess what? I want to know what's going on.
You pulled
I want to know what's going on.
Right, pulled out your
So what's going on?
Who's that bloke in the skinny jeans there?
Hey, Marlboro Man, what's happened? Honestly, everything I've seen and heard about this, it sounds like a pile of shit. Honestly. But I think it'll be the kind of so bad it's good.
Look, you can only pretend for so long. It's deep down, you love it already.
I was always going to turn up opening day. You knew that. But I think it's going to be so bad it's good. It might just... I might be totally wrong and it might turn out to be a gem, but I highly doubt it. Like, I highly doubt it.
So you're
honestly,
anticipating
honestly,
that this movie's going to be an absolute pile.
but I'll probably love it. See, I heard something the other day that got me a little bit, worried about this film, and it was that I was saying that they weren't going to go back to kind of exploring Rambo as a man like they did in First Blood.
And
But
to
they were
the
just-
fourth one a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit in the fourth one.
Until he proceeded to destroy destroy the entire population of a small country.
Yeah, look, 4 was okay, but I think I'd kind of tired a little bit of it by the end of it, and I was happy with the way 4 sort of closed it off for me. And again, I don't know why it's in my most anticipated. I think it's just I want to see what they do. Like, what are they actually going to do with this?
You just couldn't pass it up.
And everything I've seen just has me laughing. And so my concern was I was saying they were going to go back to just action. It's just an action fest.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'd like to see Rambo end with a bit of, bit
Dignity.
of pathos, dignity, and not in a pair of fucking skinny jeans.
I cannot wait for the first shot of him, saddled up on a horse, rolling in with the moleskins and the big cowboy hat. Admittedly, that picture does look bloody ridiculous. And Sly, who I have, at certain points I thought, he's got a not ageless quality. You can tell he's aging, but he's still kept in pretty good shape for what he is. Well, that picture, I thought he's 70. He's 70 plus, and he looks it for the first time. Even in the current Rockies, he just looks like, a couple of wrinkles and the hair's a bit grayer. Yeah. The Rambo shot, he looks a little bit silly. Yeah, he looks a bit like Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, look, he's never been ageless. I think he can inject ageless into your face.
He's definitely injecting a few years at some points.
But I think he actually, this time, he's injected age into his face because, he looks old. He looks his age. I think it's harder to do action films when you're 70 years old.
State the obvious. It's harder to do anything. It's harder to get out of bed, mate.
Apologies for the bleeding obvious.
It's a bit harder to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, but when the set consists of action. Oh, look, I've got to go to the bathroom. All right, okay. This is the 10th time you've had to do it in the last half hour. I think that's trouble.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not knocking Sly. I love Sly. The man's not Hall of Fame. He's in the Trilly Podcast Hall of Fame.
After lunch, everyone's ready on set. Where's Sylvester? Oh, he's just having a snooze in his recliner at the moment.
He's smoking Dawson chair. And we're still I went to the toilet. I was just like, yeah. He's been in there for a while. I'll just let him. You know what he took in there to read though? Rambo 5 script. 3 pages in.
That's what he came out with. On a bog roll.
Yeah, look, people would still be wondering why I put this in the most anticipated, but quite frankly, I do want to see what they do.
Yeah,
I do really want to see what they do.
It's on mine.
It is always kind of there when you hear about them bringing back one of our old favourites from our era.
Yeah,
and so I do want to see what they do.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Can't wait.
Cannot wait. What else you got in there?
Okay, so my next one is Us.
Us?
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Very big fan of the trailer. I've watched the trailer a number of times.
Yep.
It just looks very different. And the imagery in the trailer is just creepy and haunting. And I think, obviously, Jordan Peele's got a lot to say. So if it's got as much kind of depth and commentary as Get Out... then we could be in for something pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I think mainly the fucking songs got me hooked up.
Yeah.
I got 5 on it. Like, it's one of those things where something's staring you in the face, but you don't really see it until someone tells you.
Yeah.
And when he spoke about that, the little the music at the start and said it sounds like Nightmare on Elm Street, it was just like, yeah, that's exactly what I was. I was in my head. I'm like, he's right. It does sound kind of haunting. When he said Elm Street, I'm like, yeah, he's nailed it.
Yeah.
But the trailer, I've watched the trailer a number of times. I just keep going back to it.
Because it's not giving anything away.
It's not giving a lot away, but it just looks like something I really want to see.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big one for me. It's up towards the top of my list, especially because it's coming out early in the year. But I really didn't follow what he was doing next. I knew he was involved in the Twilight Zone, but I think details were scarce anyway.
Yeah.
And then the trailer just hit and just whipped up a frenzy.
Yeah. Well, look, it was on my honourable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to see it. I think it's interesting. I think it's thankfully one of those times where you don't get too much. Because part of today's movie going is that you just get everything. The trailers tend to tell you everything. You know everything before you
get
see
nothing in this other than they just seem to be doppelgangers of the family.
Yeah, which
is weird and kind of makes you want to know just by hearing it. Yeah, you just want to know why. So I think the trailer was a bit of a masterstroke. So
Well, it's got people talking, and I guess there's interest because of Get Out.
Mm.
To me, yes, I think that, we finally we might get something where we don't.
to me, to you, it had to make way on your list for Rambo.
It had to. Look, I waited up, and I said, look, Sly in tight jeans, working as a ranch hand, or a movie that looks like it might actually have something to say. I better put Rambo in there. Look, I don't want to kick the shit out of Rambo. I don't want to kick the shit out of Rambo.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, look, I want to... Getting back to us, at least it's something different and something that we don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully they keep information scarce.
Yep.
So it's not like, oh, yeah. Well, they did that for Get Out.
Yeah.
And you didn't know much about Get Out.
No.
You might have heard it on the periphery, you saw the trailer, that was about it. It didn't... They didn't provide a lot of information. So when it turned up, everyone was like, shit, what's this? And it sort of caught on. And I think maybe they should take a similar marketing role.
Yeah, I think so.
Same sort of way. All right, the last one on my list was also one that I didn't have a lot of info about initially, is that Brightburn.
Yeah.
I think that just looks so different and
Just
so cool.
Such a good idea.
And the idea that it's almost like a superhero slasher movie
Hmm.
is right in my wheelhouse, and it's something different.
Oh,
Finally, in
it's
the
just
superhero genre, where we tend to go down the same route,
Yeah.
and I'm not knocking things like Marvel. Some of those movies are fantastic, but they
But you
all
always
end up
like
very
something a
similar
little bit
the
different.
same way.
They are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the movies are very similar, follow the same sort of steps. And
Yeah,
I'm massive on Brightburn as well. It's not on my list. It was an honourable mention for
Yeah.
me. But the idea to say, what if Superman arrived and he wasn't good?
yeah.
Is just it's just so simple. But to take it in the way that, as you said, it looks like a bit of a slasher vibe to it, a really sort of interesting twist on things.
Yeah,
And obviously, it's got a bit of clout behind it.
yeah.
Some good names.
It's got some good names. So I'm really keen, and again, it's another one of these trailers that didn't give too much away. It gave the basics of the story, but where that's going to go is anybody's guess at this stage. It came out of nowhere. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
At
well,
all.
I basically the trailer was the first real
first
kind
thing I
of
really
exposure.
knew about it.
Yeah, so
I mean, James Gunn was keeping a low profile at that stage.
exactly,
I believe,
he's
so.
trying to keep out of things.
So maybe that's why it sort of slipped in quietly.
Yep.
But yeah, it's definitely one on the list. It's one that really has me interested.
Yep,
Now, do you have anything else floating around?
I've got my last one,
Yep.
which is, let's just say it's stretching the horror title a touch.
Yeah.
Think of it as like a gateway thing, and I've got some very large concerns. But it's the Addams Family, the animated Addams Family movie that they're bringing out.
Oh, really?
Obviously, it links to horror. It's a bit of a gateway thing.
Yeah.
And even when I was younger, I remember watching reruns of the Addams Family and
Sure.
checking the movies out and that sort of thing. It gives you a bit of exposure to some of those classic horror characters and tropes and things. But the cast is excellent. So it seems like Oscar Isaacs and Charlize Theron.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Morticia
And
and Gomez. Chloe Moretz
Oh, yeah, good.
is the daughter. There's a couple of other names in there. Concerns.
are the concerns?
A couple of the creative team seem to be heavily involved in Sausage Factory. Sausage. Shit, what's
Party.
it called? Sausage Party. That's that's a problem.
I cannot comment about Sausage Party. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen enough of it to really kind of. I don't know. I'm not sure how that kind of meshes with this sort of humour and whatnot.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people involved that don't seem to have like a lot of experience in the kind of big titles. One of the co-directors seems to have just done Sausage Party and a large number of Thomas the Tank Engine films. So that's got me a little bit concerned about who's kind of running the ship here, and there's not a lot of info out about it, but I just think it could be a really cool little thing to go. My kids are starting to get into that kind of age group where they want to read Goosebumps and they want to see things like this, the gateway stuff like Gremlins and So that one for me was kind of like, yeah, this will be right up their alley, but also a little bit of a nostalgic trip for me and something that probably could do with brushing up in the animated
for sure. No doubt.
realm. So, yeah, that was my last one.
And I think something like Into the Spider-Verse sort of proved that outside of your Pixar and your Disney, you could take you could take an old property and give it a budget with, you know, a decent sized budget, put some good names in the voice cast, and it's a hit, which is what Spider-Verse is. So this could perhaps go down the same route, maybe. But yeah, it seems interesting, and it's probably the right time.
Yeah, well, it's one that hasn't been done for a few years.
When was the last movie? It was in the 90s.
When was it? About 95 or something like that?
I mean, the original movie was alright.
Yeah.
But the sequel wasn't much good, if I remember correctly. But again, I haven't seen it. Was there anything else that you had sort of on the fringe?
Yeah, I had quite a few, actually.
Had a few on the fringe? Give it to me. Because I was saying before we got on air, like, of course, you know, Star Wars is going to be in there. Of course, the Avengers is going to be in there. But
Avengers,
we
Shazam,
sort of chose some films that were more for us.
It was very personal kind of
sort of list.
I don't think
but you know that we're anticipating those other ones.
Yeah,
because
I don't think there's
huge.
too many people clamouring for the Addams Family, but it made my list.
Yeah,
I had the likes of Shazam and Avengers. The second Spider-Man movie, Zombieland 2 was another one that was quite close, but I did see Venom, so given that Ruben Fleischer's...
Interestingly enough, I will say this, and maybe... Interestingly enough, I'll say this, right? And I must be in the minority, but I didn't like Zombieland. I found it kind of boring and lacking in some ways, except when Bill Murray rocked up. That was piss funny, but I just found Zombieland to be pretty kind of ho-hum, so I'm not really that pumped about Zombieland 2.
Yeah, look, I was a fan. I really
maybe I need to watch it again. I don't know.
Yeah, you need to just untighten your bloody skinny jeans and just settle down a bit, mate. Just try to enjoy things.
Mate, look, you were watching Venom, okay?
Yeah.
So, is it the same director?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he's directing Zombieland too, but he directed Zombieland.
But Venom made 800 million in the box office.
Venom made Meg money look like bloody chump change. I still don't know how, to be honest. I'll give you my thoughts on that down the track. Oh, it was pretty bad as a film. But yeah, we'll get into that. We might have to throw it on and deconstruct it together.
Yeah, Zombieland 2 hasn't sort of come up on my radar.
I also had the last one I had on there was Godzilla.
Godzilla King of Monsters.
I'm pretty excited for that one.
That one?
It seems like because I didn't mind the remake. I thought it was okay, but it seems like they're really opening it up to some of the classic Godzilla kind of villains. Not villains isn't the right word.
Oh, like
kaiju or whatever they want to call them. I'm not well versed in Godzilla lore, but I do kind of enjoy that stuff. So I'm keen to see a few of the other monsters that they're going to bring and what they do with it. And again, some decent actors in there. So yeah,
it could be all right. All right, that's the list. Our most anticipated. You can find us on iTunes, Podomatic and Spotify. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at thrillme@iinet.net.au. Like us on Facebook, we're on Thrill Me Podcast Australia. We're also on Instagram at Thrill Me Podcast AU. Next episode, we're going to tell you our 5 least anticipated movies of 2019. But until then, take it easy, and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.